I'm never going to ride with Uber. They're putting the taxi companies out of business. Let's talk about it. Hi, Mark with Ub-erX.com. Have you ever wanted to drive for a company like Uber? Jump aboard. You can go to Ub-erX.com to find out. There's bonuses, incentives, guarantees. Please use my referral code when signing up. Now, what was that short diatribe at the beginning of the video? Well, I have an acquaintance and she refuses to use Uber. She's a very traveled person and she goes to a lot of cities and she won't use Uber. And I pressed her on it, and like a lot of people who make decisions that are based in the heart and not the head, she really couldn't defend it. So in general, she doesn't like to discuss it. Now, I'm glad there's people like that in the world that really, care about other people, but oftentimes I find they don't think things through. Now, her argument is essentially she's not going to drive for Uber because it's putting taxi companies out of business or it's affecting the bottom line of a taxi driver. But if you really think about this logic, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's almost like saying, I am not going to buy a VCR because it's putting the network television people out of business. I'm not going to buy a DVD because it's putting the VHS people out of business. I am not going to do a download because it's putting the DVD people out of business. I'm not going to subscribe to a service like Netflix because it's putting the download purchase people out of business. I mean, we could go on and on and on. I picked the entertainment industry there, but the world changes. Things progress. When new ideas come up, sometimes, they replace the old ideas. I can tell you one thing. Every Uber ride I've ever taken has been head and shoulders above just about any taxi I've ever taken. The Uber cars are cleaner. The drivers are nicer. I feel more comfortable because it's easier to get an Uber car. Getting a taxi in a lot of cities can be really tricky. Trying to find a taxi company, trying to call them, trying to get the ride scheduled, waiting for the cab to show up. Even in large cities where there's a lot of cabs around, like Chicago and New York, and I spent plenty of time in Chicago and New York, hailing a cab isn't as easy as you think. Their light may show they're on duty, and they zip right on past you. I found that when I call Uber, they're usually there in a reasonable amount of time. The cars are clean, the drivers are polite, and I get where I'm going efficiently and cost effectively. In fact, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but Uber could very easily raise its prices and you would still be coming in way under the cost of taxis and you'd still continue to get much better service. So are you really hurting anybody by riding with a company like Uber and Lyft? I don't think so. I could argue, what about the Uber drivers? You're hurting them. They have mouths to feed. They have kids to put through school. That argument could go both ways. I think that in some ways we have to educate our riders. I'm not sure how to do it. Casual conversations sometimes help. I think, unfortunately, if we get on the soapbox and we start trying to argue our case, what happens? It turns people off. They don't want to listen. So I think the best way to do this when we run into those people is, agree with them. Yeah, you might be right. Here's my experience. And talk up the good things, the value. Talk up the benefits of supporting people who drive with rideshare. Those are the things that are going to tug at their heartstrings and perhaps change a few minds for the better. Or maybe you think I'm wrong. Maybe you think you're doggone right. I'm not going to support that Uber. They're bad. They're putting taxis out of business. Okay, leave your argument down below. I'd love to hear and read what you have to say. As always, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for your comments and giving me the thumbs up. My name's Mark with Ub-erX.com.